We are brought to you by Boss Bears Supplements. That's Boss Bears Supplements at bossbears.co. Hard work, consistency, and determination are difficult to sustain when your mind and body can't keep up. Fuel your body with what it needs to perform like a boss. Whether you're closing deals, pitching a new business idea, or training in the gym, Boss Bears take your hustle to the next level. Our ingredients are the highest quality with potency and serving sizes that are the gold standard in the industry. Check out all of Boss Bear's products at bossbears.co. They have apple cider vinegar gummies. They have ashwagandha. They have all kinds of supplements in delicious gummy form. They also have them in pill form if you don't want the gummies. I prefer the gummies. They are delicious, and I've tried the apple cider vinegar. They are very good. Use code Nicky at checkout to save 10%. That's bossbears.co, code Nicky. We are brought to you by Clout Power Supplements. That's KLOUTPWR.com. So here I have the protein, the Cravings protein from Clout. This one is the salted caramel. This is some of the best protein that I've ever had in my life. It's actually delicious. I like the salted caramel and the cinnamon swirl are my two favorites. Also, their pre-workouts are amazing. So they have the Karma Nootropic pre-workout. It's a nootropic and focused pre-workout. It's a lower stimulant formula, zero itch formula. It has 4 trademark ingredients, and has fully dosed ingredients. So far, the Arctic Cherry is probably my favorite of the Karma pre-workout. Also, try the Nero Aminos from them. And also the High Stimulant Mamba is some of my favorite too. And I really like the Arctic Cherry of that one. So go to cloutpower.com and use code Nicky to save 15%. KLOUTPWR.com. Code Nicky to save 15%. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nicky Free Podcast. We are here with Matt Moses.
Hello.
And his company, Sonic Bar. Matt, how are you, man?
I'm doing fabulous, man. I'm actually really excited to be here, bud.
Dude, I'm stoked to have you. So, let's see. Let's start with so you're big into like bodybuilding as well, right?
Yeah, I did.
Kind of a hobby of yours as well.
A hobby. Like, it was one of those things where, I've been an athlete my whole life. And I trained. I had personal trainers, coaches, doing D1 sports, and it was one of those things that it's just kind of. How about this? Once I got into Rockstar, I was more on the party side of things.
And when you're saying Rockstar, you're talking about Rockstar Energy Drinks.
Energy
correct?
drink,
And
yes.
that was a company that you worked for how long?
I was there for 10 years, like during the heyday, like when I was there, nobody even actually heard of it before.
Okay,
so I got to ride the wave of everything coming, the whole energy drink craze. It was definitely fun.
Man. So what was that like working for Rockstar? Because that's one of the biggest. I mean, I remember like when did energy drinks even kind of like take off? Like, what was that, the 2000s?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Because I remember Monster was one of the big ones at the beginning too.
It was like, so Red Bull kind of owned the industry, and there was something. It was called Hanson's Energy, which didn't sell, and it was actually, people thought it was gross, but they rebranded as Monster.
Okay.
And it just shows to go what marketing can do, and it took off, blew up.
Dude, marketing is huge. Yeah, Rockstar, Monster. Like, you see these things, and it's like, they do have some kind of like, and then when they got in with like all the like...
Liquid Death.
Liquid Death, dude. Yeah, I'm waiting for them to sponsor me, bro.
There you go.
Yeah, but so it's like, and then they got in with all the extreme sports and everything, and that just was huge.
The marketing of it was... it was perfect. It was just the right time. The whole, even, Red Bull was the smaller, and they were kind of, they obviously pivoted themselves in that industry. And then, with Rockstar and Monster both, the bigger, faster, stronger, it was like an American versus, an Austrian brand.
Yeah.
And, they just were like, all right, well, we're just going to do ours, go a little bit more heavy. And
right. So what kind of things did you, learn from working for Rockstar?
Oh man, like what a fun ride through my 20s. I mean,
And what did you kind of do before that? Did you go to school for anything? Or was it...
I did go to school. I went to WSU and I was got a marketing degree and an advertising degree. Not because I wanted to be smarter, but because I just didn't want to leave school. So I just kind of stayed there.
Okay, so marketing and advertising. So that's like perfect for what you're gonna be doing.
Absolutely, 100%. And then that kind of led me into. I moved to Australia and was just kind of like wanted to be that surfer kind of, after I was like, oh, I'm graduated, I got my degree, now I just want to kind of kick it for a little bit. Came back, and then I was like, all right.
So Australia just wanted to be like a surfer, bro?
Yeah, just was like, I want to live on the beach and just have a good time.
Life.
It was, dude. Like honestly, hostel to hostel. I got off the airplane with a backpack and just like, I don't even know where to go. And I was like, take me to the first beach.
That sounds like freedom, dude. Like, that sounds fun.
I mean, it was one of those things where people told me about it, was like, yeah, you should do it now, because as you get older, you get locked in. You just can't do shit like that.
Yeah.
So very, very thankful that I did, and just said, all right. And honestly took a risk. It was super scary for, a young kid. I don't think I was like Crocodile Dundee. I knew nothing about it. Right. I just said, let's just fucking go. Who cares?
That Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, man. Like, that's so funny. Yeah, that accent is like the best.
Yeah, and it was like, what do you know about Australia? It's like, I don't know. There's crocodiles, kangaroos, and
like we got this girl at work. Like, if a guy has an Australian accent, she's just like melts. Like, I'm like, the guy's like 40 and you're like 21. She's like, it doesn't matter. It's just like, I'm like, damn. Like, just like that Australian accent does it, It's like,
I looked over at my girl because that's kind of like. That's like her thing. She likes men in the 40s. So.
Well, yeah, they're just cool. I'm almost 40, so yeah, I gotta. Yeah, but it's like
I'm telling you, bro. That's your peak. You're like prime. You finally get your shit figured out. You're like, all right,
I feel like life's gotten a lot better.
Think about it, like, dude, you're kind of like. I was a shit face until I was like, honestly, in my mid 30s. I'm kind of like, oh, wait a second, dude. I got to pull this together.
100%. I'm the same way, dude. Like, 20s where I was worthless.
Yeah,
like, completely worthless.
Yeah,
like,
completely. So it's kind of I think there's 40's good. 40's like, I think like, it's like the cream of the crop. It's just time to get going.
It is the best time. I feel that right now for sure. So hell yeah. So anyways, Australia.
Dope.
And then
came back. My buddy owns action sports company, Hyperlight HO Sports.
Right.
At that time, now it's actually Square One Distribution and Ronix Wakeboards, and they, my buddy, we were on the lake just kicking it. I kind of grew up, wakeboarding and all that stuff, and I was just kind of started rapping with him, became friends with him, and he immediately was like, dude, well, I'm kind of a little bit of a sales guy, and I literally was like, hey man, do you want to keep doing this stuff forever? Like, when are you going to start training your replacement? And he was just kind of like, yeah, it's actually a really good idea. And I'm like, why don't you just let me be your understudy? And he said, all right. Which once in a lifetime opportunity as well.
Yep.
I became like basically the assistant marketing director and assistant sales manager for a massive, established action sports company. So that kind of got me into the whole action sports industry, and just kind of perfect timing of things. When they were transitioning out from Hyperlight to Square One.
Yes.
They're basically like, well, we can't afford to keep you anymore. Mm-hmm. And coincidentally, a buddy, Russ, the owner of Rockstar Energy Drink, we had done action. We'd done like a Get Travel, which was like, Mexico spring breaks, that kind of. Do you remember that kind of stuff when you were like in high school, college? Like, you go to Mexico during spring break. That was like the big thing.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
So we worked together at that company, and so he got all the people that were like the regional, people that sold those into colleges, got us together and said, I'm starting this company called Rockstar Energy Drink, and I want you guys to be
right
like
at the beginning, you were there.
Dude. Yeah, and it was like. It was,
Yeah, that's cool.
A once in a lifetime opportunity. My best friend had actually was working there before. Like, he was like number 3 in the company. I was like number 10. So
okay, yeah.
But
yeah, that's a cool story because those are. I love energy drinks. Like, I'm addicted to them for sure.
I mean, my brother helped launch Red Bull. So when I was in high school, I had cases of Red Bull in my garage, and then I do Rockstar. It was just like, dude, I've been drinking
to this day.
My
like,
whole life.
What's your favorite energy drink? Like, best of all time?
You know what? I'm gonna have to. Rockstar did a great job. Like, I think they were the first ones to come up with really good flavors and stuff, and they did a really good job with their sugar-free line. But right now, like we were just talking about, like Ghost is like, I mean, that stuff.
Ghost is the shit,
dude. That's
my favorite's always gonna be
delicious.
the White Monster, dude. Like the White
Yep.
Monster, that's like
Can't
my
go
all-time
wrong.
favorite. I tried the other two new monsters; they're super good. But any of the Ghost stuff, dude, any of them are amazing.
For me too, is that once again, as we're getting older and like getting more educated about what we put in our bodies.
Yep.
For me, the Ghost, it doesn't hurt my stomach. You know, like
Right.
some of those sugar-free stuff, it like, dude, it wrecks
Oh,
me,
they're
man.
they're probably not great. Like, I mean, obviously, like last time when we had Sonya out here, we were talking about gut health and all that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that like energy drinks are great for your like gut microbiome or anything. But
No, especially the sugar.
I'm always
stuff,
like trying
you
to drink it, and then I'll like eat some sauerkraut, trying to like, oh, maybe this is like counteract the effects. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's actually funny, dude.
I'll take like my probiotic. I'm like, this should counteract all the pre-workout I've been sticking in my body every day. You know?
It's funny, dude. I
She's
love
like,
it.
glutamine. Get some
Yeah.
glutamine, bro.
Yeah.
That's on my list. Then
Yeah,
glutamine.
glutamine's definitely glutamine and aloe.
Yeah.
Good stuff, but
But for sure, like, there's nothing like good energy. Like, I'll take that. Like, I'll go to like, we'll go to like Flat Stick Pub, you know.
yeah.
And it's cool because they have some energy drinks there. So it's like, because I don't really drink. So it's
Yeah.
like, I want to go hang out with my friends, but I don't really want to drink. But they'll have like energy drinks, and it's like something fun you can drink.
Yeah.
Where you feel like you're part of the group, but you're just like, 0-calorie energy drink.
For sure. I think, it's one of those things too, is like I used to do the same thing,
Yeah.
but and actually I do cranberry and Red Bulls or whatever, just to kind of like feel like I
Like
was
you're drinking
boozing,
a little bit, a little fake,
But
yeah.
regardless, you still like come around midnight, you still hit like all the debauchery starts happening. You're like, dude, I can't hang.
That's
I can't.
true.
It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's like you
no
might as
matter
well
how much caffeine you have, you
either
just can't.
drink or go home. It's like, yeah. No, that's awesome. So, yeah. So then that had to be a huge learning experience for you.
Yep.
And now, do you still work there? No.
No, I did that for a long time. I mean, since then I did. I helped Will and Jada Smith.
Right.
We did a sustainable packaging with water, like so it was this is kind of cool with the can.
Dude,
so
we were
go away from
just
plastics.
talking about like Will Smith's family with those comedians on the last episode. Because of the Will Smith slap and all that
Yeah,
stuff, and it's
yeah.
like the wild thing is like his family is so talented.
I mean, honestly, like, so it was Jaden that came up with the
Yeah.
idea. He's like, I want to do something that's better for the environment. And
Like, dude, I listen to Jaden all the time. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed. Like, that's on my like gym playlist. I love Jaden
Yeah.
Smith music. Yeah.
Yeah, so I met the family, great people. Like you said, super intelligent.
Well, and Jada was like a freaking like rock star, like
Yeah.
metal, like hardcore metal and
Right.
shit too. Like, so that's pretty dope.
Yeah, honestly, I felt a little bit sorry for them a little bit because think about it, like they can't just go to the grocery store. They weren't normal in the sense of like you and I, like where you'd be like, hey,
Yeah.
they haven't had like a normal upbringing or
It's
normal
kinda like
go to school and hang out with your friends. So they're
Right.
definitely different, a little different, but super smart kids, man.
Right, and if you think about their upbringing, having Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith as your parents, and turning out as well balanced as they both seem to be, that's actually pretty rare.
Yeah, I mean, so dude, they're
And that they aren't-
billionaire. Not
Yeah.
I don't know, millionaire, whatever. I'm sure, I don't even know what.
Well,
their
there's
worth
always
is, but
that saying about like rich, kids of rich people end up being pieces of shit, kind of, or like,
And
like-
honestly,
like,
rightfully so, because they don't have to work.
they don't
for
have to
anything,
work
but
for anything,
I
so
think-
they never learn. But like, for whatever they did with those kids, it seems like they instilled something
Yeah,
in them.
I think like what you were saying. I think their parents instilled them like, hey, man, nothing's for free, and you got to work hard. And they
Yeah.
drove home. They had good discipline and whatever. But they're good.
They must
good
have done something right for sure.
Yeah. So I did. I don't know. I've had like 7-8 companies. I helped Starbucks do the refresher lines. We did an all natural beverage called Galazzo, which was really cool, healthier alternative, just a little bit ahead of its time when we came up with it. People weren't really into that yet. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like right when Whole Foods was coming around, so it's just kind of aging myself here, but yeah, it was just kind of ahead of the curve. But for me, I mean, getting to be able to do that rock star experience as a young person, and then in the head and like all the marketing and the action sports industry and music and all of it was just like a once in a lifetime opportunity.
What kind of stuff did you do with music?
I mean, dude, we sponsored everything from, DJ festivals to all the heavy metal. I mean, you name it. Like, gosh, I mean, some
Oh
of the
yeah, I
stuff
mean,
is
I
crazy.
think I went to so many. I'm thinking now going back, like there's definitely concerts or like BMX stuff or like shows I remember going to that were all sponsored by
Oh
Rockstar.
yeah, dude. And I
You know,
think
even like fights. You
so.
know,
I
like
was working all that stuff. I was front row, getting blood on me in the UFC fights, to backstage kicking it, playing video games with Marilyn Manson and Corn, and I mean, dude,
dude,
all
that's the
kinds of crazy
dopest shit. Like,
dude.
I feel like the 2000s were pretty awesome, actually.
Dude, it was a great time period.
Yeah.
I'm stoked about it. Yeah, it was a good time.
Because it was like the end of like I don't know. That was a weird time, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I'm thinking like 10 years ago, we were all like rocking Affliction shirts and shit, drinking Rockstar, like backwards hats, and like what a fucking era, dude.
yeah, it was fun,
like,
dude.
The
It was
kids, they
fun.
don't even know, bro.
No. I mean,
They
it's
don't
when
even
UFC
know.
was
Rocking
created,
that
all of
Randy
it.
Couture shirt, those fucking Affliction, yeah, dude.
That's funny.
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time, and honestly, yeah, like once in a lifetime opportunity. And it's just kind of like, for me, like I believe like every path. Well, I'm a big, believer in God, and I just think that He has put me on this path to work and learn and grow, and it's just the next step and the next step. It was
And
like
so you just kind of put
coming
faith
to the
in
next
that,
thing. Absolutely, 100% lean in, and it's always been in my life, but there's definitely been times where I have lost my faith, and but I just think the entire time He's been right there with me to just help guide me and take me in the right direction. And
Is
that's
that
what I'm
tough?
trying
Like
to
when
lean
you
in.
do kind of lose faith or you lose like sight of your path, is it like, what is it that gets you like kind of back on the path? Because I always feel like there's this weird thing that happens where I feel like we kind of have a path laid out for us,
100%.
and when you're like on it and you're kind of like doing the things you're supposed to, you feel really good, and it feels like you're just right, like on the right track.
Right.
And then sometimes I feel like we even try to like maybe run from our path sometimes.
For sure, man.
Or self-sabotage.
100%.
But it seems like no matter what, the universe, like you can try to run from your destiny and it will just put you right back on that path.
Right.
Like
Yep.
it's not going to let you like, oh, I need to go do this other thing and disappear and hide from my fucking destiny. You can't. I
Nope.
feel like it's going to put you back on it.
Yeah, I just like, you just got to
know?
keep leaning, and no matter what, like I feel like it just keeps. It's like your true north,
Yes,
Like
it'll
it
push
just
you right
pulls
back.
you back,
Yeah.
pulls you back, and you just got to like. That's the same thing. You just got to have.
It's almost
the
like
faith.
you have a certain responsibility and it like won't let you shirk your responsibilities.
Nope, that's the thing. Like good, bad, ugly, no matter what, you're like, I just got to keep having that faith that I'm heading in the right direction. This is this is the way I'm supposed to go.
Yeah,
So,
I'm a believer in that for sure.
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
To talk kind of like even how I got into this, how I got into the Sonic Bar stuff.
So So next
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about the business you have now, or the company you have now, Sonic Bar.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, man. That's something that came up during the pandemic. right?
Yep. Yeah, and I think well, how about this? It's a good lead segue, kind of like what we were talking about path and where we're going. And I had, man, dude, just heading down like not a very good path, and like not only like just mentally, but just like physically, everything, and with drinking, drugs, alcohol. But I went through a nasty divorce, lost my job. Like it was just kind of like, for me, like we kind of just talked about like the first half, like I've had a pretty sick, dope life, like very fortunate.
Yeah.
Like people are like, wait, you've lived like multiple lives, like the people would dream of.
Yes.
And I'm like, I've been super lucky. And then it's like, all right, all the way into the later half of my life, getting divorced and just kind of like losing my family and just losing everything.
So that was the dark
Dude,
period.
yeah, and I'd done like I was talking about, I'd played sports, and I played for the U.S. national rugby team. I had some massive back issues.
Yeah.
And we found that your pain receptors and your basically depression, your mood, are like right next to each other in your brain.
Oh man.
And one affects the other, like it's swelling, and whether you're like, well, is it the pain that's happening or is it your depression? Like is the depression causing your pain? Vice versa, kind of goes back and forth. But for me, like I was dealing with massive depression and pain, and like for 10 years, I couldn't exercise. I couldn't even pick my son, newborn out of his crib. Like, and you know, like I couldn't do the dishes. I couldn't.
Man, if you're
nothing.
in pain, it's so hard to have a positive outlook on life.
Big time.
So I even noticed that, like, where I hurt my leg, you know, just like I did something to my quad. I was just like stepping on the stairs. We were moving stuff, you know, and I was like, I'm in a calorie deficit quite a few days right now because I'm getting ready for the show.
That's right.
And I'm like, you know, we're moving all this stuff now, and I'm carrying this stuff, and I just stepped wrong, and I don't know what I did. It's all worked out now, but there was a couple days where just like it was so painful.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if this was like what I felt like all the time, I would be an asshole.
Right?
I was like, I would literally just be a dick. Like,
For
I would
sure.
be pissed at the world. And then it really makes you appreciate, like, how, because I'm used to feeling like really good most of the time. So I'm like, damn, if that's like, I really need to hold on to my health.
Right.
I'm like, more and more, like, especially as we, like you said, we're in our prime, but we're getting older. Like, I do not want to have poor quality of life. That's how people turn into like bitter assholes.
Right.
You know?
Well, and like you just watch them just downward spiral, you know?
Yeah. And then you wonder, like, why is that guy sitting in the bar every night drinking, and he's a prick, and he's an asshole, and he's fucking bitter, and he whines about fucking this and that. And
so, to my point, what we were talking about, you just described where I was going.
Right. And it's like
that was
oh,
me.
it's because of fucking pain.
Dude, I was fucked up, man, and it just sucked. And you're right, I was bitter at the world, and I was ready to blame everybody else. And yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, you know, you talk in the divorce, it's like, hey, there's 50%, everybody has everything. But yeah, man, towards the end, I was a miserable fuck.
Oh, dude, that's
and
tough.
It sucked, dude. I was really struggling, and I did afterwards, you know, I was like, all right, I'm really struggling here. So I got on some depression meds, and you know, was literally on for 4 years, and just kind of like I got to a point where I was just so numb. I couldn't.
I was gonna say,
nothing.
so what's your thoughts on those? Did they definitely probably helped somewhat?
So I'm a huge, like, I went and spoke in front of all, like, I mean, there was like 5,000 people there talking about depression and like meds and like doctors helping, and I went and did a huge thing on, like, I truly believe that it's a necessary, almost necessary evil. I think it's very, very. I mean, it's how about this?
I think
at that
they can
time
really
period,
help people.
It saved my life.
Yeah.
So I definitely needed.
That's why I try to be careful, because like I'm kind of like against them in a sense, because I feel like if you can do it the natural way, like exercise and all that, you're gonna be better off. But I think they save people's lives.
Dude, I was in a pretty dark, scary hole that, like, you don't realize, like, how about this? You don't realize what it's like until you're actually in it. And honestly, I was always like, man, that's fucking bullshit. What a pussy, this and that.
Yeah.
Until you're there,
Until
you're
there.
like, oh wow, this is really scary, man.
And that's kind of like why we always say, like, you have to be so careful with, like, you know, because if you're in a good place, it's so easy to like flippantly just be like, you know, just work out and eat healthy. Don't be a pussy.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Totally.
But you don't really know what that's like.
Well, life knocks people down, and honestly, for me, it felt like it wasn't just one. It was just like one after another after another. I was like, dude, give me a break. This is unreal. You know,
it was hitting you with a lot
everywhere,
just fucking
man, everywhere. And so it like literally, I think it saved my life at that time period. Like, honestly, but then it hits a point where
you were too numb.
It's done. It's done its job. It's time to like get off of these things. And honestly, like, I couldn't get off of it.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things where, like, I mean, my hormones and emotions and everything was just like I was on a fucking roller coaster. It was very, very difficult. And like, people don't realize like how much, like, well, how about this? Like, you're talking about with like anxiety and depression, you know, PTSD, like all these people are on these heavy medications, which I do. Like I said, I am a supporter of it to a certain extent. But there hit a point where I was like, okay, man, it's time to like come off of this shit and stop. And like, I just want to live my life as a normal, because
you wanted to feel again.
Yeah. And I wasn't like, honestly, I was like, so there's two sides of it. It's like, okay, but now I can't even be happy because I can't feel shit. I'm just numb.
Right.
You know, so it's like I want to like be a normal human being again, and I just like almost couldn't. So, you know, coming and, you know, like talking, because it started as recreational. I was like, I would like to just try this, have some fun. You know, I've done it. Remember back in high school, whatever. It was like,
and when you say try this, we're actually going to talk about psilocybin.
100. Yeah, there you go. So I was going to I wanted to try some psilocybin and have some fun and hang back and kick. You know, at that time I was like partying and having a good time. I was like, yeah. Well, it was like one of those things where like, all right, I'm really enjoying how this is making me feel. And then in the talks of like, okay, trying to like get off and wean off this depression meds, it was like, all right, how do I do this so that it actually helps me so that I can actually, like I said, get back to normal.
Right.
And that's where this whole, and obviously there's so much stuff out there right now with microdosing. It's just
Right.
unbelievable.
So you were thinking of it as like this party drug, like it used, like that's what people used to think, trip and all that. But like
I just dabble into it, yeah.
But nowadays, but you found out like it's so much more than that, correct? Like
yeah. So the thing is, for me, I'm just going to talk for me personally. Like obviously we can do a lot of examples of other things and a lot of my clients and stuff. But for me, it was weird because like, I'm drinking 10 whiskey, whatever we call them, Kentucky mules, instead of a Moscow mule, you use bourbon, and it was, it was, I was crushing these things. And honestly, I'm riding my Harley, I'm drinking every day, as soon as it was one of those things where like, just trying to like once again,
dude, you're living like a country music star, like those like Waylon Jennings and shit back in the day.
I love it, dude.
I love it, dude.
So then it was like, all right, well, then all of a sudden it was kind of like, it started like I just didn't have the feeling, the craving for the alcohol, and it just was like wasn't doing me any justice anymore.
Right.
It was actually really kind of a cool transition. There was like, well, do you have a problem? No. I mean, I could still go to work. I could still function. I could still take care of my kids. Like,
right.
But it was like one of those things. It was like I was using it to numb the pain, and the psilocybin actually just kind of helped like take that away to the point where I was like, I didn't need it. Didn't want it.
Okay.
It was really cool.
And at that time, like, what was your kind of regimen with that? Like, just like, so how did you notice that started like changing the way you felt about alcohol? Because like, you kind of started using it like on a regular basis, and
it was kind of, well, how about this? We were coming up with this company, and we wanted to do this, and it was like, so we're experimenting, and we're doing it for fun, but I'll say like, all right, well, what is this?
What gave you the idea for the company? Just it's a fun thing. And you already had all that marketing experience and everything.
So I'd love to say that originally how it stared was like, I had this big, which it was. I knew I'd done a lot of.
You knew it has some medicinal.
Yes. So with the anxiety, depression, PTSD, overall well-being. Yes, it was there. But for me personally, it was kind of like exciting because I was like, dude, this shit's fun, man. And I saw what went on with weed, and I thought it was a really cool opportunity and idea. And more it was like, oh wow, this is actually really, really helping people. And how about this? It helped me personally.
Yeah.
So, and I'm the kind of person like I'm not gonna, I wanted to experience it myself before I'm gonna tell anybody else to do it. And it was one of those things where I'm like, dude, you gotta try this. This is incredible. So,
now, when you say it helped you personally, like now, because I've heard things about it, which I don't really have much experience. Like I've had some microdose from a friend of mine, and they were great. I mean, it was like just this fun, like I'd have never had a real trip.
Yeah.
But it was just like I felt so good, like
yeah.
So my question is like you had some really dark times in your life, and probably some kind of trauma and stuff going on.
Big time. Yeah.
And that's what the depression medication and everything was helping you with. So like, my question about it is like, was the psilocybin, now I know some people have actually like, it's actually helped them kind of like unlock that kind of like trauma.
Right. So there's,
and like relieve the trauma in a way that therapy hasn't been able to.
Yep.
And other forms of, like something about it like actually gets to root cause. So it's like, alcohol, you're masking the problem. Even like depression medication, you said it saved your life, but you're kind of masking the root.
You're still
There's something about, I've heard, I don't know from experience, but that psilocybin can actually kind of like help find those pathways in the brain that are like storing this trauma and kind of like get you to face it and like deal with it and let it kind of go.
Yeah, you're 100% right on. There's obviously two different sides of it. You have like the microdose version where you're just doing small amounts, and it's like 2 days on, 1 day off to feel the afterglow. And what you're doing is you're basically like, it's just you're not even really even feeling it. It's just there.
It's like a smooth feeling.
Yeah. Like it just helps like how with this for anxiety, it just helps you keep like stay calm
without
taking prescription medication.
Yeah.
And so then you have, like we were talking about a little bit about trauma and stuff, you have macro dose where you actually go in and you really want to, like, it helps you lean into what you're dealing with and what you have on, and really face it head on and just kind of like look at it. Okay, this is what I have. I've got this thing that I need to deal with, and now
it helps you face it.
let me face it, and then it's pretty cool because you can just set it down.
Yeah.
You're like, all right.
Once you kind of face it, you can work through it, right?
Right. That doesn't define me. That's not.
And I
who
mean, I know
am.
they've been doing like studies with freaking like soldiers and PTSD,
Dude,
and
I mean, huge.
I feel like we said like in, I said 10 years, but you're right. It's probably going to be a couple years. It's going to be like, because they're studying it more than ever right now.
I mean, it's big.
And the government wouldn't let them for a long time. Now they're starting to let them.
Yeah, they did. So basically, like it's been around for a very long time. Let's say 50s, 60s, and like it got to be the point where like it was like, I don't want to get into like too about politics and money, but you know how that works. If big farmers coming in is like, well, wait a second, that that's gonna take into our pocket, so we can't do that. So they shut that shit down super fast, and now they're coming back around to be like, okay, well, wait a second, maybe we can. I mean, they're more open to look at like this has extremely big benefits for people. It's
kind of the sad thing though that like you can't really get something like legal till big pharma figures out how they can make money off of it.
I mean, yeah,
so it's like nothing really like weeds becoming more legal. It's like until they realize they can like make tons of money off it, it ain't gonna happen.
Right, like government.
So it's like all the positives that they do make these wonderful drugs that save lives and everything. But until they can figure out how to monetize it, we're usually not going to see much of it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of the way the world works.
That's how it works. Yeah. That's just part of reality.
Right.
But that is cool that is coming around.
It is, and it's like, right now is like the forefront of it, and it is having so much momentum, and you just see it everywhere, and like everybody's talking about it. The coolest thing is, like one thing's become mainstream is like, you're having CEOs and you're having like doctors and all these people that are coming in and are like, hey man, I take it, or this is helping me out. And so the coolest part is like, I have people that literally tell me every single day how this is helping them with anxiety, quitting smoking cigarettes, quitting drinking.
That's a huge
overall well-being, the
cigarette thing.
Helping creativity. I mean, for me, like so I have a really good buddy that his dad is an author. He had some brain trauma and couldn't write anymore. I mean, he's like he has books, everything, and he'd just been like, I don't know what to do. And this guy is like anti-drugs, no drink. I mean, it's just like nothing. And then after talking with his son, he kind of was like, all right. He talked his dad into doing this. His dad, even though I told him to do, I said easy up and just do like microdose in. He said nope, I'm gonna macro. Yeah. He went in 2 squares. And the next day, he sat down and started writing again. I mean, he went to his doctor. Like, his brain is firing again.
Yeah, it does.
Signals are happening. Like, they're looking at it going, this doesn't even make sense.
Well, that was like the joke. Like, like Bruce Willis has this terrible disease right now, and I can't remember. Someone was like, we need to get him on mushrooms immediately. Like, because who knows, like whatever disease that he has, like he knows he's going to lose his brain. It's like, who knows, what if that is something that could get it firing again?
Well, I mean, they're literally the studies are showing that it actually reconnects and refires, in your brain. So,
dude.
Yeah.
Well, and that's got to be why it helps with that trauma, man. Because it just like you said, it gets it. I don't know. Yeah. It's so interesting.
I mean, the best way to describe it for me personally is like, it just helps. You look at something, face it, and do it in a very like, instead of coming at like a really, like a day-to-day is like ego and you're caught up in your mindset of things. It's like, it just helps set all of that down and just go, okay, let me just look at this and like, how do I deal with this? How do I move forward from this? What do I need to do differently?
Is it somewhat of like an ego killer?
There's no question.
Okay. Because I know they'll always say like DMT is like the, ego death type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't always last, but at least for the moment when you're doing it, it's like you can kind of get this clarity. And
well, I mean, like with therapy as a whole, just being able to take it and like look at things and then just be like, okay, let's walk through this. Like normally you're like caught up in like right or wrong or whatever. You just can like literally like look at one another and be like, okay, I can take my ownership in this, and what do I need to do differently, and how can I do this change to be a better person? It's like, it's incredible. I don't know how to describe
imagine
it,
there's like a thing that does that. That's like,
yeah, right.
It's like what everybody needs, because ego gets like in the way of everything.
Right.
It makes you think you're right, the other person's wrong. You take no responsibility. It's a thing that's like protecting you, right? Like,
yeah.
It's protecting you from like, truth, reality that you don't want to see. And now you get this thing that's just like shows you like the actual reality.
Right.
So like, dude, I feel like it's a cool thing.
It's super cool. And I mean, just to see it on a day-to-day basis, and just to get people's like feedback, especially honestly in the bodybuilding community, it's because a lot of us, are ex drug addicts or ex addicts. I'll just say that, ex addicts.
Yeah, so
and
some sort.
don't partake in anything, and then we don't we don't partake in alcohol either. So it's like, well, you want to take it like, I do it just to be able to at least hang out with my friends, or it's like one of those things that just like helps them with past
that's
traumas.
the cool thing. It could just be a fun thing, right? It doesn't always have to be like curing depression, anxiety, PTSD. Like it can just be kind of a fun thing too, right?
I mean, absolutely. It's incredible. Like, it's so much fun.
And creative. Like you're going to write an album or some shit.
So that's a whole thing where, something else, like opening up your whole creative side of things.
Yeah. Well, because you think about it, ego kind of gets in the way of creativity, right? You got to be more open-minded when you're trying to create. So if you're going to do this thing that kind of like frees you up from your ego.
Right.
I feel like that's going to be a good...
I mean, it just opens it up. It opens up your mind to be like, look at things differently. I mean, it's the best way to describe it.
Because that's the battle I always feel like, is trying to keep an open mind. Because you get ideas, you get ideologies that you want to hold on to, and then like, because like so I was in a band before. That was the hardest part, was like creating with other people.
Right.
It's so easy to create when you're like the fucking like, or you have a bunch of yes people around you. You get somebody else that's equally as talented, and you have different ideas, and you have to like, kill your baby to like, this is how I want to do it. Well, I think it would be better if we do it this way. And you're like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? You're
how
fucking
dare
with
you?
my thing.
Yeah.
But then like sometimes you do it the other way, and you're open, and like it ends up better.
Right.
And so I feel like with creativity, anything that's gonna make you a little more open-minded.
Right.
Dude, I mean, I feel like a lot of like comedians probably use them. And like,
oh man, I mean, you're just hearing about it all over. I mean, that's the thing is right now, it's the wave is happening.
I'd say it's blowing up right now.
Oh, it's blowing up. I mean, it's starting to happen. It's coming, state by state. Decriminalization of it, which right now means that you can have it, you can grow it, you can take it. You just can't sell it.
Nobody sells it.
No, nobody sells it. And the sale part is the whole, like what we were talking about earlier, is like, how does the government's like, well, how do we got to make sure we get our cut in this thing? And they're just trying to figure that piece out right now. So
once they figure that out, it probably will be. I don't know. I think it's really cool, like, because like I feel like it is weird. We had, like I've said on here before, it's always blows my mind the way that we view alcohol versus the way we view other drugs. And it's not to like, because I don't like alcohol, so I do kind of vilify it sometimes, but I do think you can use it, and I don't ever think it should be illegal, and it can be fun. But I just think it's weird how we view it compared to like if I was going to talk about psilocybin, I know there's a bunch of people that would clutch their pearls.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people that would be like, oh my God, you can't, that's ridiculous. But they'll go to the bar and drink like it's nothing.
I mean, I think that goes back to like we are just talking about marketing and what marketing can do. And you look at what,
the same with weed. Like weed is so chill here now, but there's still definitely some of the population that probably would get their panties in a bunch over weed.
Well, for sure, because think about it, they've been told their whole lives how bad and how horrible it is for what it is. It's horrible. It's horrible. War on drugs, like all that stuff, and so that they've been literally almost brainwashed to where now it's kind of like but you still have this the 50s and 60s they're there the old hippies out there at whatever what was that festival that everybody was
Woodstock
the Woodstockies, they're still out
they were
there,
doing
so
acid
they get it.
and like
so they're the forefront of this. They've already known this, they know what it's about, and then they kind of all had to just like go away and shut it down.
The hippies are wild. They're like, they were doing acid, they're like sexual revolution. Yeah. And then now they're like, trust the sign. No, I'm just kidding. They're like, it's wild. It's weird how they've changed.
Well, and now, how about this? And then it comes back to like, well, how about this? These days with social media and like, you have exposure to knowledge where before you literally you were told what you needed and what was the right or wrong. Well, now you can actually go find it out yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're having all this issues with like, social media censorship and everything, like they don't really, there used to be a one mainstream kind of way to spread whatever story you wanted to spread, and now it's all spread out, so they're trying to figure out like we need to get a handle back on this.
Yeah, I
like
agree. It's kind of pushing too far the other way, where now it's just like, well, wait a second, what's real, what's not, what's truth, what's lie?
Well, I like having it wide open, but it's like it is. I mean, obviously, then you can get things like QAnon, or you get all these crazy conspiracies, and you get all this wild stuff. But like, I don't know. The alternate of that is just having like one centralized thing control all that. I don't like that either. Like, I like that we, right. I love that we have the ability to research things on our own and see like. You know, you'll see something, a story break, and it's like they're telling it like this, and then you see like, oh, actually they're totally lying. You know, this is what's really happening. So I love the internet in that sense, dude.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
And that's probably even why like weed, psilocybin, some of these other things, like it's probably kind of why they're starting to be like, well, we can't really control this anymore. We're gonna have to let it be legal. Let's figure out how to make money on it, because it's kind of getting away from them. Like there's too much like good information, good knowledge out about it now.
100%. Well, that's the thing is like, it's, you know, like, well, how about this with anything, you know, you have the black market, and how about this, even like 90% of the supplements we take are like, at one point they're like, you know, they're black market because the FDA or Big Pharma was like, no, they can't. How do we're not going to make money on it? It's like, well, wait a second. Half the shit grows in Asia, and they're plants and herbs. You know, it's one of those things where now there's so much knowledge and it's all out there that we can literally go take and figure out, all right, well, what actually, I don't need to take, you know, whatever, something from the doctor. I can actually go do this naturally, and actually it's going to be better for me, you know?
Right. So it's like harder to do reefer madness and scare everybody if they can just go look up and see like, oh, actually there's a lot of positive, like once in a while there is a case where, you know, weed has some negative effects on people, but for the most part it's very safe. And, you know, like, so like they can just look it up.
Even like joking about, like, we were just joking before we started, you know, about like LSD, and it's like, oh my God, it like completely melts your brain and this and that. And it's like, well, wait a second here. Like, you know, that's actually technically not true. No, you know, so it's like there's ways you can do it in a healthy, safe manner, and where it actually is like super helpful. And I think now, you know, they have all these now like ketamine clinics and all this therapy and different things where you can actually go in and really, you know, do it under professional care.
I think that's the key, professional care. Like if it's more, it's like anything, the more legal it is, the more like, you know, it's kind of like even like TRT clinics, you know, popping up. It's like, it's probably safer, you know, you're getting like the good grade stuff, and like it's under doctor supervision, and like, you know,
I mean, there's a little bit, some of the HRT clinic stuff is a little bit dicey for me, because they're shady, because what ends up happening is then it just gets back to what we were talking about, money in business. And it's like, now we're just pushing, you're just
on
pushing
people that
scripts,
don't even need
you know?
it.
And maybe you don't, and that's the thing is like, you need, like, okay, well, what's a healthy range? And you're like, well, they're just like, I mean, how about this? Even like, we're pretty well educated in this, you know, in this field. And, you know, even the TRT clinics that I was going to, there was like, oh, you just need to, you know, like more testosterone. You're like, oh, well, more estrogen blockers. And, you know, it's like, well, wait a second, what, you know, just more. And
yeah,
like,
but that's
no,
always
why don't
like,
I just bring my test down, and that'll naturally, guess what will come down? My estrogen, you know, because they want to counter.
There's like natural holistic ways to do these things too.
Hey, and I mean, and honestly, when I was taking, actually, maybe you might be home, the pill version of testosterone. What's it? Clomid.
Yeah.
So when I was taking Clomid, that was the best I was ever feeling. And my testosterone, the guy was like, dude, it was like 800-900, which is actually
in
really
like
good
optimal range.
And then it was like, no, you need to inject it. And it was like, well, shit. And then ever since, you know, for 2 years I was having estrogen dominance problems, because it was like I couldn't quite figure out, because my body doesn't need a lot of tests. Now, is that something that
Sonia helped you figure out?
Yes, she did.
I was gonna say, because like, yeah, that stuff is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I mean, the idea, like, you take this testosterone, then you take these estrogen blockers, but the thing is, like she was saying on that last episode, we need estrogen as well, you know, and it's like, I don't know, the whole thing gets kind of like, I feel like, yeah, we need to figure this stuff out. Like, there should be a way for humans to, like, totally just optimize themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, and if anybody listening to this podcast, you should definitely listen to that one, because I was in the audience or on the other side of the camera listening. I was like, dude, this is.
I'm kind of like,
right?
I need to get Sonia back on again, because like, yeah, that's like, it's like literally having like a Huberman Lab podcast.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. And honestly, like, that's the thing is, I hear her talk about this stuff every single day, and that's the thing is too, is like, people are like, dude, how do you know so much about it? It's like, well, you know how it goes. Like, it's almost just like absorbed in. I hear it every single day. So then, of course, I'm going to pick up some of this stuff too. So.
Oh, yeah, totally. So, I got rid of that hum, dude. I don't know if you heard that, but.
Yeah.
I still had that third mic on. We had those comedians in here the other time.
Is that what was going on?
Yeah, I was like, what is that hum? I mean, you probably won't even hear it on the actual recording.
Yeah.
But I could definitely hear it.
I definitely could too.
I was like, what is that? But yeah. So anyways.
Your voice sounds so much sexier now. I'm not
so much sexier. That's the whole thing. That's why my podcast is going to take off. It's just the sexy voice, you know? Like, I don't know. But so anyways, let's talk. So during the pandemic is kind of when you started Sonic Bar.
Yeah, we had this vision. We sit down and we're like, okay, we don't want to just like have another product. So he was like, we want like something that's gonna taste incredible, high end, premium, like have best organic ingredients, because we're what we're talking about. Obviously, we want health. And it was like the way I looked at it was like, you got your 7-Eleven, you can just have your whatever, your 7-Eleven hot dogs, or you can go get like something really good and healthy over at Whole Foods.
Yes.
And honestly, that's what we wanted. And
like, you can tell the difference.
Oh, dude, you can.
If you get like a natural casing, like delicious hot dog, like versus a 7-Eleven, come on.
Yeah, man. And honestly, that's the same way. I mean, we do blind taste tests. I have other buddies that do other competitor bars, and we'll do parties, and everybody's kind of taking little pieces, and everyone's just like, dude, this doesn't even hold a torch to anything else on the market. And that's kind of what we wanted to do.
The scary part is if you make it so good, like you're going to want to eat more of it.
We have, so I
you have to like be careful.
That is true. I do get a lot of jokes. People always be like, man, it's just so good. I want to eat the whole bar. And I'm like, well, don't do that. But yeah.
I know, it's like, have you ever thought about just making straight up regular chocolate ones too? Or just regular bars with nothing in them?
I actually haven't.
Just to sell for like, like the... So like, here's this version, but then if you get hungry and you just want to dominate a bar, like here's the actual just the chocolate,
I'll leave. You know what? I'll leave that to Nestle and
leave it to the companies. Yeah, what they're doing.
Yeah, that's and how about this? That's what I'm chasing, some of those high end premium bars that are out there.
Right? Is there a lot of other psilocybin chocolate bars out there?
There's quite a few. I mean, how about this? You have everything from people making them in their
brownies,
garage,
cookies,
to some pretty high end companies.
Similar to like weed, right? Like.
So a lot of so everybody saw the weed, explosion.
Take off.
So even the weed companies are also, now the edible companies are transitioning over and doing some of the psilocybin stuff.
That makes sense because they're already kind of doing that. Like,
we started with Rice Krispies too, but the dosaging was low.
Yeah. So that's what she was just saying is that So originally we were like, okay, well, what can we do? We're like, all right, well, what's like shelf stable that actually will won't melt or won't whatever? And we're like, okay, cool, Rice Krispie treats.
They're easy. Amazing. And if you're a bodybuilder, like
right?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with Rice Krispies.
So now imagine those with a bunch of psilocybin butter in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the dosage. So that was the whole thing about the R&D period. It was like we were trying to figure that out, and which was a lot of fun. But honestly, it was like just do a half a square or whatever, and all of a sudden one person's like completely torched, and the other person's like, I don't really feel anything. So we're like, all right, we got to get this right.
You need something more. So the way you do it is in squares.
Yeah.
So when you're doing it in these squares, you can do a really good job of the dosage will be like the same for each square, right?
So that was also very important to me, is that I really
consistency.
Yeah. So I didn't like how weed edibles, how you'd eat, and I had some really bad experiences where they're
not consistent all the time.
You literally have like 20 candies and you're like, oh, these are so amazing, and then the 21st candy you're wrecked.
Yeah.
And I'm literally like, I'm telling you, like, I'm like, dude, am I having a heart attack? I gotta go to the hospital. Shit. And then by the end of it, you're like, I just actually need a hug. It was like not good experiences. Like I felt like back in like junior high or high school, the first time.
Dude, I love edibles though. Like
they're good.
Because I don't smoke a lot, but edibles are so nice.
They are, but so my biggest thing, I just wanted that consistency. That was very important. That
you have to
each square was going to be the same. You're going to get in every single. And
so, what's the process like of making those? How do you make that?
Well, that's like we have that in.
Or is that a secret trade secret?
It is a secret.
We can't put that out.
We can't talk about that, but there's a. Yeah, we have a chocolatier that has helped us.
Hypothetically, if you were gonna do it.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, chocolatier has helped us with it. So
That's pretty dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one square. What's a square do?
well, that's the thing. So as you know, and like honestly, learning from Sonia is that everybody's gut microbiome is different, and how you absorb your nutrients is going to be the same way how you're going to absorb your food, and your food nutrients is the same way how you're going to absorb the chocolate. And so one square might be a lot, and one square might be whatever with one person. So I just always tell people to baby step into it and do just take half and kind of see how you feel.
Start with a half, see what it feels like.
Yeah, so you get half an hour.
Because we were talking about that last time. Like there is like times when you eat food and you're not even absorbing any of it, or there's like issues that can happen like that.
Big time. There's a lot. Like
when you're bodybuilding, this is why we take all these digestive enzymes and we take this, our probiotics, and we trying to.
Well, you go on gut protocols to actually figure out what's going on. You have good bacteria, bad bacteria, too much overgrowth of both of them. Either one, it doesn't matter. It's you got to make sure everything's dialed in. Yep. Actually, we were talking about on that podcast. She was actually talking about the little things
that stick up and they
actually absorb, and like if they're not, they're just laying
Otherwise
down.
They're just laying down.
They're not.
But you got to take the stuff that just gets them back up again. Give me that food.
Get them back up, so they're actually absorbing the nutrients. Yeah,
God, that is so interesting.
So that's the thing. So everybody's a little bit different. So that's kind of why I always say that everybody you just kind of baby step into it. And for me, one square is like perfect. Perfect. It's just like great laughing, great time, like just fun. Just an amazing evening. So,
and this was something like you said, it kind of came during the pandemic, and that was a time when everybody was kind of like locked at home, a lot of depression issues,
big time.
People couldn't go out and have fun. They couldn't socialize, which is super hard on people actually, because we're social. Even the most introverted person, like if you're stuck at home all the time, it starts messing with you.
Big time, dude.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I'm a really outgoing, like extroverted, like love to talk to people, and it was like, dude, I'm losing my shit here. And honestly got to the point where I was like, sorry for anybody that's like, big time masker per people. I was like, I got to go anywhere that they're not locked up. So, I was going to Arizona a lot, like lots of Scottsdale, Phoenix, lots of Mexico. It was like anything I can do to get out of this place,
Right. You just needed like some time away from it. It felt so like cramped and
man, it was scary for the first. Like, how about this? I was full blown like whatever that first year. I follow all the protocols.
Oh, same. I understood it at the beginning.
Don't get in an Uber. It was like, dude, it was like I wasn't doing it.
We didn't really know what this was. It was all new.
Yeah, so it was like, all right, I'll listen. Even though I kind of even back then thought it was a bunch. I don't know. I was like,
but you're trying to like be a good person. You're trying to take care of the tribe. You're trying to keep everybody healthy. So you're doing the right thing.
For me, it was like I'm fine, but I wouldn't want to get somebody else sick or someone else to die because me being a dumbass. But
then when you knew there was some places with a little more freedom, you're like, I gotta go there.
And everybody's still like, well, wait, what's going on there? It's like, well, no, they're not having any increases, and they're having fun, everything's fine. I was like, all right, I gotta go.
So I'm like originally from Iowa, and I remember going home like during it, and it was just funny because it'd be like, I was so used to like my mask and stuff, and people back home were like, what are you doing? Like, we're like done with that. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, we were one of the last.
Yeah, I had I had this Megadeth mask. I used to wear it all the time, like with my fucking beanie.
I remember you at the gym, trust me.
Yeah, dude. So like then people got to know me as like this like masked dude, It was kind of fun.
Actually, honestly, you definitely I was like, dude, that guy's like, what? That guy's intimidating. What is going on?
And then you like meet me and I'm not even intimidated.
Nah, dude, you're just a good dude, man.
But it is funny, like definitely a lot of people were intimidated by that. Like I just like the look, because dude, I'm like a huge Megadeth fan, and then I get to like wear this skull thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like I feel like I'm Batman the whole time. Like it's just like
I love it. Hey, how about this? There was a time period where I was like, I kind of did. It was kind of cool that you could just kind of hide. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Oh, dude, there was a little period where I was kind of like
hide away. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little nice. Like, I get overwhelmed because I'm in the bar industry, so it's just like people, which I love people, but it was kind of nice because like it was kind of like
a break.
You got to like kind of hide your face. Like they didn't know if you were like, because like we have to be like super nice to people sometimes, and like sometimes you're just like someone will say the same joke you've heard like 50 times, and your face is like,
yeah.
And but if you have a mask on, they can't tell. Like
no, like I agree.
So as long as you get them what they need and you do a good job.
There was honestly, I thought the first half of it was actually really good because it had, we get so caught up in the rat race of things,
Right.
and everything, especially in America, is just go, 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 and it honestly was really nice to have everybody just like
It was a
calm
reset,
down, dude,
yeah.
and reset, like go be home with your family, dude. Just don't,
I know. I actually thought it was
going
to be a good thing in the beginning. Like I thought
Yeah.
it was going to like bring people together, make people appreciate how much they like love each other. And so it ended up kind of.
It did that to a certain, and then it got.
Yeah, but then
all
it
right.
just became so divisive.
Oh,
It like,
trust me, divorces, everything. You have this.
Oh my God, dude! But at the beginning, I was with you. So like, also, I'm kind of a person that gets kind of like. There is something about chaos that I kind of like.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit like because it's like life gets so like. So when it kind of happened, I was like, this is something different.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Shit, this is. So it made me like go into like, I have to figure out what to do.
Yeah,
You know, and then like we got laid off from the bar. We're on unemployment, and then I'm like doing like side jobs, working like doing drywall with my buddy, so keep him busy. So we're like out in the pandemic every day because we're doing drywall and shit. Like and there's nobody else on the roads. It was kind of a fun time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like there's nobody on the roads.
For a little bit, I agree.
Well, for a little bit. Then, they start shutting down gyms and like the people lose their businesses and like that was the scary part.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was thinking too, like, so I had a really thriving business and yeah, like we got hammered. I mean, it was.
What was
brutal.
the business? The same one or different?
No, dude, I did, actually it's kind of odd, but a high school buddy of mine, we did class action litigation stuff. So once a class action litigation was settled, we'd go out and find all the plaintiffs and then get them their money. And, obviously COVID hit and everything shut down,
So you couldn't do anything.
We couldn't do anything. And I was like, dude, like,
how am I supposed to keep my business going?
And we had, I had 25. We had 25 employees. It was like.
So then it's not just you; it's these employees. You
Everybody.
have to take care
I mean,
of.
everything was like and it was like, and it's weird because like all of our loans and stuff, they were like, sorry, you got to keep paying. We're like, well, wait a second, nobody else is like. But
that was the problem. Like
some of the
loans
stuff,
didn't stop.
Nope.
Rent didn't stop.
Nope.
But income stopped.
Yeah.
It was like All right, everybody, it is time to take a short break for our sponsors. The Nicky Free Podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped. They are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. So join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. So it is 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code NickyFit at manscaped.com. So the thing about it is like when you're, you're trying to shave your balls, you got like a date or something, you don't know where things are going to go, but you don't want to be like showing up all messy down there. You want to show up all clean. You want to be looking good down there. You know what I'm saying? So like we've all done that. You get a shaver out, you go to shave yourself. And what happens every time? You cut your balls, man. And it's no good when you cut your balls. You start bleeding all over your ball sack. You got blood going everywhere. You get it cleaned up. You go on the date. And, like, obviously, you're a high-performance male. So, like, things are going good for you in the date. Stuff starts going well. And next thing you know, like, one thing leads to another. But then the thing is you whip it out. And, like, there's a big thing. Like, your balls are all cut up. And it's, like, all sore down there. And it's, like, such a turnoff, So it's, like... You don't want that to happen to you, like you don't want a big open wound on your ball sack when you're out on a date. Like that's just no way to be. So guys, it's time to take care of yourself. All right, look at this. Look at this product. It's awesome. Thank you, Manscaped. This stuff is so great. They also threw in this beard hedger, which is just a great beard trimmer. We'll talk about that another time. But this is the Performance Package. So yeah, guys, go online, go to manscaped.com. If you want 20% off, use code NickyFit. You will get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. So check out the Performance Package. It's awesome. And thank you guys so much. Use code NickyFit, save 20%. You're really helping out the podcast. And I want to say that I was already using Manscaped before they started sponsoring the podcast. I think they're a great product. So thank you guys for picking this stuff up. Use code NickyFit, save 20%, and free shipping. You're really helping me out. You're helping out the podcast. And thank you to Manscaped. And thank you guys. Go out there. Let's get cleaned up. Let's get cleaned up. Let's not go out there all messy and stuff. We got to look good. All right, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was brutal. And
So
that,
I won't
2
complain
years,
because I
but-
got laid off and then I was on that sweet government fucking, unemployment.
Yeah.
Which was like,
So that was things I didn't qualify for that. All my,
Yeah.
I had to pay off.
well,
for
that
all
was a
employees, but
bad
I
thing and a
didn't.
good thing because it was
Yeah.
like all of a sudden you're making like more money than you've ever made
Yeah.
just for free.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is awesome. I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like stuck at home. I was like buying Lego sets, dude. I was just like building fucking like Batman Lego sets. Like,
That's it.
they're sitting over there in that box actually because we're moving.
Yeah.
So like I was just doing stuff to like stay busy, and then I was like sending my nephews home a bunch of toys because I'm like I got all this extra money. I was
Dude.
buying them like extravagant shit,
Yeah.
and then I started being like, oh, I probably need to slow down on this because
Yeah.
I don't know how long this is gonna last. And then I remember like it came to a point where bars did start opening up, and I was like, I think I'm not going to be one of those people that hangs on to the unemployment thing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
a lot of people were like not wanting to go back to work.
Right.
They're like, well, I don't want to lose my,
Why
this
would
sweet
you,
ass unemployment
Yeah.
because you're making $1,000 every,
Yeah.
every week, and it's like, I was like, I think it's best to go back now before shit gets wild, like when everybody's trying to get a job, So I was like, I think I'm going to go back to work, and then I feel like obviously we're paying for the unemployment now because with all the inflation and shit,
Big
like
time.
you can't hand out free money like that without some consequence
Yeah.
down the road.
Well, that's the thing is, and there's different sides and different stories to everything. Like for me, I didn't get any money, so I went $60,000, $70,000 in debt. So you got that, which was cool. I'm not doing it because there's like a lot of that, and then even like her, she's like a single mom, and then the government's like, you have to pay us back, and it's like plus
What?
interest, and it was like, wait, what? So there's like weird different sides to all of it.
Well, and the other
So-
thing is like all these businesses got these PPP loans.
right?
And like they barely had to prove anything. So like there's like they lost like tons of money by giving them out to like people that shouldn't have even got them.
Right. Well, that's
And I know that like pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, people were making,
like
like,
the government
crazy
lost a shit ton of money during that they just like accidentally handed out.
Yeah, people were making more money on unemployment than they were at their job. Like it was
A little
crazy.
fucked up. So like
And
I was
yeah.
saying like I enjoyed being on it, but I don't think it was the right thing necessarily, but I also don't think it was the wrong thing. But like what do you like for people that couldn't get it? Like what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Or like
I
people
was
that like,
trust me,
lost
I
their
was one of
business.
those, dude. I was like,
Oh,
dude, this is-
man.
and I lost my business, and I just literally watched.
And then
a
they were
lot
like
of
mad
good
at people for
companies go
trying to
down.
keep their gyms open and shit. It's like, what do you want them to do?
Dude,
like,
I know.
they have to fucking make money. They have to. They have a living. They have responsibilities. Like,
I mean, we shut down our entire country, and I don't know.
well, unless you were like a huge corporation, none of them had to shut down.
Nope. That was the things that I thought was odd was that churches and gyms had to close, but they kept marijuana and marijuana places and casinos open. And I was like, okay, well, wait
Essential.
a second. They're like, well, wait, what's essential? It's like, well, no, one, they get taxed. They don't make money on
Churches don't pay tax.
but casinos, you're like, dude, this is.
Oh, of
right-
course
for
they were
me,
going
that
to
was
shut the
when I was like,
casinos down, bro. That's
this
like a
is bullshit,
huge.
dude. Yeah, that was it for me. I was like, all right, I can't buy into this. So.
No, it was that was too messed up, dude.
Yeah, casinos open? Like, wait, what?
But so yeah, like gyms, churches, those should have been open. Come
yeah,
on.
dude.
Gyms too, like they're essential.
I think so for people's mental health and well-being.
Yeah. So
But whatever. I mean, we could go back and forth.
there's
and debate
nothing
that
we
all
can
day.
do about it now. We made
Nope.
it through it. It was a trying time.
Yeah.
We all made it through it. And actually, if you did make it through it, for a lot of people, the pressure and the negatives actually kind of probably, I mean, for you, like they turned into something new, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. How about this? We just talked about it in the beginning. Everything happens for a reason, and for me, it was just one of those things. It's like it just kind of helped me like focus, and it's like, hey, what else? What can we do? What kind of hustle? What can I come up with?
Yeah.
I've always kind of been that kind of person, anyways. But it's like, all right, like there were some people were saying like, if you don't come out of this thing without some kind of side hustle or something, new business or something, like you just wasted that opportunity. And
Right.
I was like, all right, it's a good idea.
I know that's what I did. I got certified as a trainer. I hired a I got a bodybuilding coach for the first time. Like
Yeah.
that's the shit I did.
Now
with
look
it.
at you, dude.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I transitioned my whole life during
Right.
that time. Instead of being like stagnant, I'm like, well, what can I do with this reset? And for me,
it's good.
Like I don't want to, like obviously a lot of people got hurt by the pandemic, and for me it ended up being a very positive thing.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say it was a positive thing because I know people lost their lives and people lost their businesses, and I feel very bad for that.
Yeah.
For me personally, it was a great reset.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and led to a lot of better things. But
Yeah, it was definitely hard, difficult, but honestly, yeah, it's like you got to look at how about this, and just in life in general, you got to look at the positive things.
right.
And you're like,
I mean, I
all
think
right.
I even maybe kind of started the podcast out of that. I guess maybe it wasn't going. I mean, probably like that was
Yeah.
like during the time I think
Right.
that I was like got the idea and started like buying all the equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually funny. I was gonna do a podcast with a buddy of mine.
you still
too.
should. I mean,
I know. Well. How about this? It was called Pool Boy Podcast, and it was gonna be just us like talking about being single and being just like going on dates, and it was one of the things was gonna be Tinder time, and it was gonna be like just talking
dude, what's
about,
your
how
thoughts on
crazy it was
Tinder?
out there.
I want to hear this,
Dude, how about this? I mean, I think it's cool that people get to meet people and stuff.
I know
but,
some
dude,
people
it was,
that met their like spouse on Tinder.
Yeah, and I that's why I'm thinking it's dope. But I was like, it was a shit scene. I mean, it was some of the stuff he was just.
Yeah, that's where like
forced
the
to,
last time one of my last guests, we were talking about kind of like getting a little bit jaded from it and being like, I think I'm gonna delete it for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
but overall, like I don't know. It's hard to say it's a negative or positive. It's like
I liked it. How about this?
it's a way for people to meet,
right? I mean, so for me, like. How I was married for 10 years before, so it was different, I was like college, all that stuff, so I had like different means of meeting people, and then it was like, okay, I was married for 10, then I was like, all right, now I'm 40 years old, like how the hell
it
do you
does
meet
get
people,
harder to meet
so
people.
it was cool, I liked it. It was fun, but at the same time, and then it was like, okay, once you start doing it for a while, you're like, all right, I think this is good, dude.
I know, that's where I am too. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done with that for a while.
Yeah.
But just being all celibate and shit lately.
Good for you,
Just
dude.
becoming one of those, I don't know, no FAP and no porn and all that shit that's like going on.
That's good too. I mean, how about this? We once again talking about religion and stuff. That was like something that was big. It was like, all right, I don't
It's
need
kinda
this
like-
extra shit in my life. But,
Right, it's like you're not against those things, but it is kind of, I think it just has to do with dopamine to go back to, so it's like, it's not
There's
that I'm
100%.
against these things or think they're bad, but for me, it's like trying to manage dopamine and how much better my life gets when I do limit those kind of like
Big
easy dopamine kicks.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that I'm against porn or I'm against this, but it's like, it's too easy of a hit.
Yeah.
And then it's like, so I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, what is an addict? It's like that dopamine. You want that hit of dopamine.
If
that
you're
rush.
addicted to porn, it's similar to being addicted to a drug or like,
big time.
you're addicted to risky sex through Tinder. Like that's, that could lead to a lot of bad things. You know what I'm saying? Like
for
diseases and all that. But it's like, I think it's a dopamine thing. It gets very exciting.
It does.
And then that's when you make bad decisions, like.
I mean, that dopamine, like, how about this? Why do you go on Amazon or why do you shop? It's just like you get
I
that
could
quick dopamine
easily
rush. Bang,
have a shopping addiction.
Oh, yeah.
There is nothing better than like buying gym clothes.
Dude, I got I got shoes, hats, motorcycle parts, you name it, dude. It's
Dude,
like,
I want
that's my
fucking
dopamine rush.
I know. I want some like fucking Nikes right now, dude. I want like some fucking the new Dark Sport drop.
Yeah,
I want just everything.
Isn't that funny?
I don't know why either. Like it's like
I'm telling. I think you just said it, dude.
it's dopamine.
Yeah.
So
man.
and I'm even a person that like I know the reality that like material things will not make you happy, and I know material things. Even like as much as I want to make money, like you say, you're a hustler, you're out making money and stuff. I know that money isn't actually make you happy. I look at money as like it gives you freedom, so you're not worried and that can de-stress you and stuff. But I know but I still want all that shit. It's so weird. It's like this thing
we all
you have.
do. I mean, come on, like
You all want
I
it,
want
like-
nicer cars, bigger house. All it's just you want. But what it ultimately comes down to is like wants versus needs.
Right.
And then that's how about this? That's how I try to tell myself too. Is like, well, I'm not very good at it as I look over. I'm like right now, but
It's
there
like
was
a thing.
prior
Like,
I
can
was.
I
I gotta get locked
achieve
back
this
on
goal?
it.
Can I get this thing?
Wants versus need. But
So there's sort of a positive in that sense because
no,
it keeps you like motivated.
absolutely no. I definitely think like setting a goal to achieve something is like.
But you
huge.
you have to know that it's like not gonna like make you happy. Like you make you happy, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, how
Like-
about this? Achieving, like working for the goal.
Yeah.
Like to get to that point, that's the,
So it's the work. It's because you
happiness.
put in the work. So you've
Yes.
given yourself this consistent
Right.
signal of like I'm doing what I told myself I would do, which builds your confidence.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it's like the way to build confidence is like doing what you promised yourself you would do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like if I promised myself I was going to do this, but I keep failing, I'm going to lose confidence in myself.
Yeah, big time.
I keep fucking myself over. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. If you keep doing what you told yourself you would do, you'll gain confidence because you're like, oh, I trust myself. I keep doing what I'm supposed to.
Yeah, we talk about, with discipline. That's that one thing.
It's
discipline.
discipline.
Like, you're going over and over and over again, and you're building new discipline. In the end, you're like, at the end, you're just like, yeah, you're coming out. You're going to be a better person for it.
Yeah, you start like trusting yourself because you're like, oh, I didn't let myself down.
You're right.
Or I followed through with this thing, or I did this, and it's like,
and
okay.
it's not easy. I mean, you go like 75 hard, and all these different things. You're like,
Dude, that's
it's not even
hard
about
after-
doing it. It's about the how the discipline of being able to get structure to do it.
Yep.
And to get through it.
It's
and
a following through
right.
of
And
things.
then and how about this? Failing and not cheating and being like, oh no, I messed up. I didn't do what I was supposed to. I got to go back and start over.
That's the thing,
Whoa,
dude.
why would you ever do that? And it's like, that's the fucking point.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's not that you failed; it's that you do it again.
100%.
So it's like, because like that's the other thing. Like obviously we talk to this to death, but like failure is not the problem. Like failure is important, right? Like,
oh, big time.
yeah, and
I mean,
you
that's
probably
how
know
you
that
learn all your
you've been in
lessons.
all these businesses, dude,
Dude.
and you've been hustling, you've been working for these big companies. Like, imagine if like you would have quit at any of your multiple failures throughout the years.
Dude, I mean, so I had a really good mentor that used to tell me like it wasn't in his, it wasn't all the successes. The successes were easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to keep going. It's easy to keep driving when you're being successful.
Yeah.
It's in your failures when you get knocked down.
That's the
it's
hard
get
part.
back up. That's the hard part, and then that's where you have true growth.
Right. I was like, the hardest part is like not when you're making progress. Failure sucks too. But there was like this Kevin Hart thing where he's like, the hardest thing is to keep grinding when it seems like nothing's changing.
Right.
But you still have to keep going, and then eventually the needle will start moving again.
Right.
But there's that period where it's like you feel like you're getting nowhere, but that's the most important time to like keep going.
Well, how about this? Think about like in our industry, I guess is like it's not a sprint. It's a slow grind, dude. Like in a year, if you're like gained 2 pounds of muscle, you're like,
that's a win,
dude. I've kicked ass. You're like 2 pounds. That's bullshit. It's like, dude.
Well,
it's
that's why a lot of people can't
get
get into fitness because they want immediate results.
Yeah, it's a slow. And that's how about this? If you're gonna do, and you see this all the time in weight loss and things like that as well. If you think it's gonna be quick and easy and fast, then yeah, you might actually do it. But guess what? It ain't gonna stay off.
No, and that's why people are going to like, what is this like drug they're giving people for weight loss now?
It's semaglutide.
Yeah, what is up with that? I got all these people trying to like wanting to get on it. I'm like, why don't you just like eat healthy and work out?
Yeah, well, I'm how about this? It is kind of, it's one of those things like anything you get. Our Kardashian, that she was taking it, and
well, I heard
everybody saw her
Elon was taking
results.
it.
So yeah, so then people are just like, oh wow, it's just an easy.
So then like my buddy who's overweight, he's like big time fan of like Elon Musk, and he's all like, well, I should take it. I'm like, Randall, you're in the bar drinking beer. Like maybe you should fucking stop doing that first. Like start with that. But so take this extreme drug that's like,
I think there's some really great benefits of it. I think it's really cool, but I just, like anything.
If someone's
and all the
super
TRT
overweight,
clinics now, there's anything like anybody, like it's a fad and people want to do it and they think it's going to be super whatever. But
that's the weird thing about everything, though. There is like you said, like depression medication. There's goods and bad.
Right.
Even TRT, there's good and bad. And
right.
even this drug, I do believe there's probably a place for it. If somebody's like
if done right,
very overweight,
100%.
it could probably save their life. Like
So yeah,
it could give them a start, help them.
Yeah, and it actually it basically does get your cravings down, and like people that are doing different like serious diets like with ketosis and trying to recreate your cells, there's ways to do it, and you're like, it comes in very beneficial. So
have you guys ever heard that story of that guy that like fasted? That guy, you ever heard that story of that dude that fasted for like over a year? He didn't eat for over a year.
Well, I don't agree with that, but that just sounds crazy.
Okay, so let's see. I'll see if I can find him quick. But this is a true story. I mean, it was all under doctor supervision.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were giving him some kind of nutrients or something, but he didn't eat food.
Fast mimicking.
Yeah, so like...
fast mimicking.
Let's see how many days.
I'm trying to... if you say something, I'm trying to read just in case if they can't hear.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So his name was Agostino Giuseppe. 1939 to 1990, Scottish man who fasted for 382 days from June 1965 to July 1966. He lived on tea, coffee, sparkling water, and vitamins while living at home in Tayport, Scotland, and frequently visiting Maryfield Hospital for medical evaluation. So basically, he was an extreme case of obesity. And, yeah, I don't know. That's the longest fast ever recorded.
Dude, that's crazy. I don't know the point actually of that besides Guinness Book of World Records or something, but that's
So he lost 276 pounds and set the record for length of fast.
I'd like to see his blood work and see what all the stuff that happened or the side effects of all the stuff that happened. Liver, kidneys, things shut down.
It said after the fast he moved to Warwick and had 2 sons. It didn't really say much about damn, that's crazy. I'm going to have to look more into that. I don't know. That just popped in my mind when you guys were talking about that. Like,
that'd be funny.
That's wild.
But I mean, fasting and stuff. I mean, I think there's so many benefits to this stuff. But
I do.
So
I enjoy fasting. Like if I want to clear my mind or something, like.
But yeah, you're just 100% on. Like you're like, dude, but let's try ABC before you jump into F or not F, like a Z. And
I know
like,
we
dude,
we always want the extreme right away.
How's your sleep? How's your water intake? How's your there's so many different things before you even talk about like before you're like, oh no, let me just stop my my craving for food.
Right.
But it does, but like once again we just talked about it's the same thing we talk about dopamine. Food's also dopamine.
Oh, food can be a drug,
right? So
100%.
So and it helps.
I mean, I see that every day. Like that's another drug. That's another way to numb yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of weird things with food. Like certain. I think actually, psilocybin could probably help certain people with those kind of eating disorders.
Yeah.
If there's some kind of root cause to like there was that one story where that woman was like super obese. She lost weight. And then she like got hit on by a guy, and it put her into this like tailspin, and she gained all the weight back. Like the doctor was like, "Well, we were doing so good. What caused it?" And it was like, she basically said a guy hit on her, and so there was some kind of like sexual abuse in her childhood.
Yeah, trauma, dude.
And so her eating was like to protect herself from being attractive to men subconsciously. Yeah. So she didn't even know she was doing it consciously, but it like apparently getting hit on by this guy like sent her back into that. And it's like, that is an interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, if you think about it, isn't majority of trauma like a lot of it's subconscious? You don't realize it.
You don't know it. It's just like, there.
So that's kind of that whole like when the psilocybin's help leaning into that.
Well, that's what shows it to you, right? So like it's in your subconscious that can help you reach it, right?
Yeah. In a very like the thing is cool is like in a very calm like just really like wow, I didn't even think about that. That's really cool. And I'm like, all right, I need to look into that. And
I feel like
what can I do with this?
Yeah, I feel like when you kind of like realize some of your own like toxic behaviors or like your own faults, that's like what it's like. It's like, oh, like this problem I've had, like I've been causing it. This is a me thing.
Oh yeah.
There's nobody else to blame. Like, oh shit, I was the one that was like, that's like it's like such a beautiful thing when you can like self-evaluate. And
this is your 40-year-old self talking right now. That's what I'm talking about. Like you start getting
you're
older,
right.
you start realizing
when
that
you're
shit.
that's why older people
like
are just so much better.
You're like,
dude.
fuck that. No, I didn't.
Fuck that. That's just how I fucking am, bro.
Dude,
that's how I fucking am, bro. I don't change for anybody, bro. Fuck that. Fuck that bitch, bro.
Yeah. See, so there you go. So as you get older, you start leaning. You're like,
It's like, oh shit, that was me.
And you know what? Honestly, I actually feel better that I'm actually just admitting this than saying,
like, I have this toxic behavior that I need to work on.
Yeah, let me set
Every
it down.
time this happens, I do this thing that's not healthy. Maybe I should just not do that. It's like,
there you go.
But I feel like, psilocybin can help with that.
Oh yeah, big time. It's really cool. Like, and that's things we just, even just like paired with counseling, with someone there as a professional to help you through it. And it's just like, so how about this? Even like when I was in there doing this stuff, I had a counselor as well. Now he wasn't like prescribing me to do it, but I was doing this and then having these.
But that's the key.
Like these, oh my gosh, moments like, holy cow. And then I could go into therapy, talk about it, really dig in, and then actually go through and work through this stuff. It was, it was incredible.
So that's like the difference between it just being this party thing.
Right.
And it being like a serious medicinal, like helpful, like antidepressant, like you're doing it like with a sort of purpose, with a professional.
Right.
I mean, I feel like that's what's like in a year we're gonna see so much of that.
Oh my gosh, this is like it's so close. That's the thing too. Like we talk about, it's decriminalized now. Once they kind of figure this stuff out, there's some things like right now you can like with a prescription, which doctors are starting to write prescriptions for it.
Yeah.
You can actually legally get it. So
Dude, it's exciting.
yeah, it is really exciting, and I'm just like
I'm like excited for the future of so many things.
dude, I'm just, for mental health.
Yeah.
I mean, this is big.
I feel like, isn't that weird? Like now we're similar age, right? So like, do you remember when we were young? I feel like mental health was like, I feel like our society right now, it's like, not all of it's like this because there's still like a lot of bullshit out there, but there's like, it's almost like become cool to try to like be mentally sound and healthy.
I'm all for it.
Which
dude.
I don't feel
love
like it was like that when we
No.
were young. It was always like fucked. You know, it was kind of like that thing. I just remember like, you know, it was like the not cool thing. It was like
No.
it was like if you talked about your feelings and shit, it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. You know, and I still kind of like get into like stoic philosophy. Like I do still think there is some like value to like action versus just like sitting around and talking about things.
For sure, I agree.
But I do like where our culture has gone with like, if I'm like on Instagram and maybe, you know, it depends on what your feed is because it's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
I'm going to see a bunch of like positive, like just like super inspirational type of shit that's focused on like not being toxic, dealing with your shit.
Yeah.
Going to therapy, trying to be healthy. Like, I feel like those things are more cool now than when we were kids. Like,
For sure. Well, how about
we're
this?
kids, like,
Look at
fuck the fucking establishment.
Right.
Which I liked. It was rock and roll, but like, you know.
Yeah, which honestly, yeah, you're right. That was kind of a cool part of it. But how about this? Like, think about like our parents didn't have it. Like, they didn't look at their shit. They didn't look at their garbage.
Oh, if they had a fucked up relationship or something, or someone was toxic, like, they just fucking dealt with it. They didn't even know how to like.
No, that's the thing too. And then you're like, well, how about this? Or you know, well, how there's a era where it was like you just shut up and you dealt with it, and you're like, sorry, we're married forever. You know, and then there's a period of time where like everybody just got fucking divorced. Everyone, like every parent, everyone's like, and now it's like looking at it like, hey, let's look at like what's your mental health and where are you at, and which I just think is,
like people actually put work into relationships.
For sure.
I think that's the key. Like, I mean, not in a relationship. My parents are a pretty good role model for me because like they've been together 38 years.
Yeah.
And they don't really seem like, you know, I've seen those couples where, like you said, they're just like staying together to stay together. They seem like they actually are like genuinely happy. So it's like a good role model for me. But
even this, like, relationships are better just to the fact of like you're more mentally sound going into that relationship. You know, you've done the work maybe beforehand. Like, how about this right now? Like, you're single, right?
Yeah.
You know, but
I'm still doing the work.
You're doing the work, but this is cool because.
But I'm like close to being ready. I feel like I could almost
Yeah.
be like not a piece of shit.
Right. See, that's
You know
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Like,
you're a better person. You're making you're a
Like-
better person for your next person.
Like, I even started thinking about having kids and stuff. I'm
Yeah,
like, you know, I'm not dating yet, but it's like there was a time in my life where I'd be like, no, I would never fucking have kids.
Yeah.
I would fuck them up.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, God, I would love to have kids.
yeah, you're like, I'm actually a good. You know,
Like,
you
I
look
think
at
I could
yourself, I'm a
actually
good dude.
I could actually be a good influence
Right.
to these little beings. You
Right.
know? Like,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, dude. I love
so
it.
I don't know. Like, I've definitely changed. And I don't think that would have happened with like outputting that kind of work, like the work. And, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like more popular to work on yourself in healthy ways now, which I think it's kind of a cool vibe we got going on.
I love it, dude.
In
I'm
our
all about it.
So as fucked up as our culture is right now, as divided as it is with social media, like at least there is sort of that going on.
Yeah.
you know?
I agree with you.
And then
I
it's
like it.
opening up with these, like, you know, marijuana, psilocybin. Like, I feel like we are getting a little more enlightened in a certain portion of the population anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. You got the ketamine clinics. You've got, you know, people are doing like MDMA stuff, which is, you know,
That's huge.
You know, that's pure, you know, Molly, and like same things like dealing in with like just being able to get into that deeper space in your mind to just be able to like let go.
Well, and the amount of people that are willing to, like what you just said, like talk about like life in a sense of like there is something deeper going on here than just like everybody has their own opinions of it, religions, you know, whatever ones you prescribe to or whatever, but like the idea that like there's something more to it, you know, like
Yeah.
So
just a deeper connection with yourself and a deeper connection with the earth and your friends and family. And it's just, dude, it's awesome.
I feel like that's healthy.
It's super healthy, dude. It's awesome. Like, and it, like you just said, it's like, I'm all for it. I'm all for like it. Oh, it's cool now. And we're like, dude, great, man. That's awesome.
I do. I think it's cool. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. When we were kids, it was like, fuck the establishment, fuck this, and fuck, it's like, I still kind of like get into that, but like, I definitely like this focus on like, let's try to unfuck ourselves and be quality human beings.
Yeah, I mean,
I
mean, if you don't want to be an overall better person, there's different people out there that are just like, fuck this, fuck that. But, I just like, for me, it got to a point I started wanting to surround myself with people that made me a better person. And honestly, people that I emulated. Like, I want to, I see that like, man, I love how they're just super chill, or they don't get caught up in any bullshit, or they don't want to start drama, this and that. And I was like, dude, I just want to be a better person.
It's like they say you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with. Yeah. So like, be careful who you choose. Like. Yeah. That's you're kind of gonna become. If you hang out with 5 losers, you become like the 6th loser kind of thing. Like, seriously, it's like
really true. That's funny. Well, that's the thing too, is like, we're in the in this community of like right now with health and fitness and like just trying to be like take care of ourselves, which for me is like the longevity I want to be around and feel good for the rest of my life. But
also that community is like kind of the misfits still too. You know what I'm saying? It's not like when we say that, I think some people get this idea that it's like you have these like jocks who think they're better than everybody and all this stuff. And like, I don't see that in like the lifting community. I see more what you're talking about, where it's people who have dealt with some very serious things, addictions, and they found this like group of people that have this similar passion, and they're trying to become healthier people. Yeah. So I see that more so than, and I know there's like definitely probably that other narcissistic.
Dude, it's kind of split. The community's split because you look at like twos, like it's the most unhealthy, healthy sport around.
Yeah, because it can be very unhealthy.
Dude, think about like people that are just like, how about this? Like, they're not doing the proper checking their blood work and stuff to see where they're just blasting gear. Yeah. You're like, to look a certain way, and it's like, all right, well, yeah, you're huge, but does your dick work, or what's going on?
That would be the scariest thing.
Because great people are just like, like, you just got to make. For me, there's different sides, because some people are like really like to make sure they're doing it right, and other people are just like, fuck it, I just want to be jacked, And it's like, whoa.
Man, that is so funny, because I do remember there was like a dude that we used to kind of like look up to him back when we were in high school, and he definitely was on gear all the time. Yeah. And actually, there's 2 dudes like that. One of them passed away. He got into drugs or something, but super cool guy. But just an unfortunate situation. Yeah. And the other guy, like, he was another dude too. Like, I remember running into him one time, and this is like, I was totally natty at the time. I was all like, I was on like a fasting and super natty kick, and like, I was like really into like doing it like holistically with all health food. And I was like, I was taking like pre-workout and stuff, but I was all like anti like any chemical type of food at the time. Yeah. It was a cool phase for me. I liked it. It was kind of that intermittent fasting, like lean gains. I don't remember if you remember that Martin Burkhan. Yeah. So, but anyway, I ran into him, and he was like talking about gear and stuff, and he's like, man, does your like dick even work without it? I'm like, yeah, like I've been off for how many years? I'm fine, bro. Yeah. Like. And I just like concern me so much. It's like, dude, you're not even that old, and your dick doesn't even work.
Dude,
like,
bro, there's so many like in the industry. There's just so much like
that's scary.
They're trashing themselves, Like, just think
it's like too much, too hard, too fast.
All of it, yeah. Just like, and they think like, oh, the more I need more, And it's like, well, dude, what's the ripple effect of that?
You also like, I feel like there's that's with anything in life, like. You do have to have some kind of like breaks.
Yeah, for sure.
Where stuff chills out, and then you like, maybe you're gonna do a show or something. And I'm not even just talking about PEDs. I'm talking about just in general, like intensity. It's hard to keep it up for a very long period of time. You have to be. I mean, you can keep it pretty steady. Certain athletes do, but there's got to be some like time where you're gonna like decompress, and then you go after it hard again, and you like, otherwise I feel like there's no balance if it's just constant.
For sure. And the thing is too, is like that there's just so many different perspectives of it in the industry. I look at me like, because I kind of came in from an outsider, in like just gen pop person. Yes, I was an athlete, but the education, everything's changed so much over the years. But like coming in and just hearing like the bro science of it all, and like and like how much I do and how much you do isn't going to be the same thing, you know. Like our bodies are with genetics and everything, and they work differently, and so it's like, but you hear like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, and it's like, well, wait a second here.
Yeah.
You're telling like people that are like, you know, you're 6 what, like
6'4".
You're 6'4". I'm fucking 5'8". You know, and it's like, and I, you know, but the thing is,
well, and everybody has different genetics. You can't do a one size fits all for anything.
no, and that's the thing is like too is like I weigh, you know, 115, and you know, where are you at right now? You're obviously
like 215 right now.
Yeah, or sorry, I'm 215. You're 215.
Which is weird because normally I'm more.
Right.
But it's because I'm cutting
You're
right
cutting
now,
down.
so I'm pretty pretty low. And
But so that's the thing is like, but there's different like there's different like with like in genetics like different regions of like you know, like Middle Eastern versus Norwegian versus what, you know, Asian.
yeah,
you know,
what your ancestors ate,
so like
all
are,
that stuff.
and like what pathways your body processes this stuff, and but so you're like your buddy's like, oh yeah, dude, you need to do this much, and I just see it so much in the industry, and you're like, bro. Like, go get a coach, man. Go get somebody that's trained and knows what they're doing, you know? Because
I think having a coach is so valuable, dude. Like,
yeah. I just see it all the time, and
and good coaches. There's a lot of good coaches around here, so it's like I think that's
yeah.
if you can afford it. You know, I know that with the economy and everything, that is one of the first things that people cut out.
Right.
But I don't think it should be.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, like,
You know what I'm saying? Like that's important.
when you're talking about your health.
Yeah,
I think it's. I mean,
I was talking to a coach
here and stuff. You know.
Oh, well, for that case,
Yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
I was talking to a coach in here once, and she was talking about like the problem is like the economy tightens up, and then people will get rid of their, you know, these type of things like their coach, their meal plan right away. And she's like, it's funny though, because then what ends up happening is then they turn back to like the other vices like alcohol or food, and they end up spending just as much money anyway because so they think they're like, I have to quit paying for this because I'm gonna lose all my money, but then it ends up being this cycle of like you end up spending the money just on other vices because you lost this other thing that was making you feel good, you know. Like
my biggest thing in this is that it's like you're gonna pay for it. You want to pay for it now or pay for it later? Because like when you get older, think about what you've done to yourself. You're going to pay for it with doctors and pills and all this other shit you're going to have to take to be able to live. Or do you do it now, take care of yourself, eating clean, proper, you know, not eating nitrates, you know, trying to get rid of that stuff out of your body so that later in life you don't have to do that.
True. I mean, I even think about that with the amount of meat that I eat, you know, like, and I'm not an anti-meat. I love, I'm a super into, like, I think it's natural that we eat meat. We've been eating it forever, but like, when you're on a bodybuilding plan, like the amount that like my body's it's probably a lot on the body.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Just digesting.
Well, like eating clean and you want to eat stuff. Well, I mean everything's like you want what.
I mean it's all clean. I was just
food.
thinking about all the protein. It's like, damn, that has got to be a lot. Maybe not. I mean, high protein is good for you.
I don't think I think you're all right. Yeah, you'll be all right.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Maybe I just talked to the wrong vegan or something. That's scaring me. Meat is bad, you know.
Yeah,
like
no, you're fine as long as you're.
We've been eating it thousands of years. I don't think it's bad. Like
no, as long as you're doing, you know, like making sure you're eating. How about this? Very lot of colors, so like a lot of different varieties. You know, if you're just
greens with it,
yeah, you want to make sure you're eating your fruits and vegetables and nuts and things like that. So you're not just like. Yeah, I mean, you just meat. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be eventually, like anything. Too much of one thing is going to be, it'll start, you know, breaking
It's that
out.
variety like Sonia was talking about on the last one.
Whoa, where am I coming up with this stuff? I'm so smart. No, I'm regurgitating.
It's all me, baby.
Clients.
Yeah.
It's all me. I know this stuff. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, good stuff. I mean, honestly, like I'm just really stoked about the products and everything that we've done, and just like what we're.
Let's talk a little bit about your products. So
Yeah.
you've worked with you said did you call it a chocolatier?
Chocolatier.
A chocolatier, like a mouseketeer, like that's what people that make chocolate are called.
Yeah.
So chocolatiers helped you make this amazing, organic, delicious product. And then how did you decide, like, you have, like, 4 different flavors? How did you come up with all the different flavors?
You know, so that comes back into, like, my marketing stuff. It was, like, more about, like, okay, seeing what people's buying habits are and, like, what is, like, the you know, like, what people want, you know? Like,
I think different options, not too many.
Yeah.
There's a weird thing, like, you do too many options, people have no idea what to choose.
Right.
You have, like, 6 things, it's fun. It's
yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah, you know,
you want to have people. That's the thing is, some people. How about this? You got dark chocolate, which is which is vegan. People that have dairy issues, they can't do milk chocolate.
Yeah.
Right, because it has milk.
So that's one of yours
dairy.
is dark chocolate
We
vegan.
we have dark chocolate. We're having two. It's called Blueberry Bliss. It's coming out, which
That
is
sounds good.
That's a dark chocolate blueberry, which is delicious.
I fucking love blueberries,
Yeah,
dude.
we got the cookies and cream, which is going to be also a white chocolate base.
Yeah.
You have a strawberry, which is going to be white chocolate based.
Mm-hmm.
And then the crunch bar, which is like,
A crunch bar.
dude, and that is fire.
Yeah, who doesn't
That's
love a
my
crunch?
favorite, man.
Dude, are you ever going to do like a mint chocolate chip?
Absolutely.
I was going to
dude.
say, like, my
Yeah.
favorite flavor of ice cream has always been mint chocolate chip.
So it's the same thing too. Is like we want to like slowly do. So,
You can't do too much.
You don't, and honestly, like it sounds weird, but like from my past experience, like colors mean a lot too. So we were like, okay, well, blueberry, we'll like, all right, well, we already have a blue. Well, then let's make a purple. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, and I'm like, people don't buy a lot of purple. Like it's actually
Is
kinda
that right?
It's
Like
a hit and miss. Dude.
is there certain colors that people don't buy as much of?
It's just kind of natural instinct. Like,
So,
it's
like,
habit.
is-
Like some people are drawn to it. Don't get me wrong. Like they're just like, ooh, I want to try the purple, but or purple, or but for some reason
Blue.
it's a love hate, dude. So
Yeah.
I'd say, we just went with another shade of blue. But yeah,
It's funny because it's like, what's your favorite Ninja Turtle, dude?
mine is definitely Leonardo.
Yeah,
man.
Leonardo's the best.
or Michelangelo, which
Because my second favorite is Donatello, though. So he's
I
purple.
love Donatello,
Yeah, because he's
yeah.
the smart one.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, I love those movies.
You know what's weird is like this is kind of weird, but I never got into Raphael, dude. I just couldn't do it. I don't know
he
why.
was. I get it. I mean, he's cool, but he was like the fucked up one.
Yeah.
He was the one with rage issues and fucking. He's the one with trauma, so I could see like people could probably relate to him that had it. These anger issues.
I just
Whereas-
didn't like his weapons. I thought they were weak.
Well, to me, Leonardo was like the balanced one.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was like the one who was like actually, he was like the master. He was like the leader for one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
He was a master at what he did. I like Donatello because he was smart. Michelangelo was like a lot of people's favorite because he was just like, let's have fun.
Just have fun
I'm
and
gonna
be-
party.
Yeah. with
You
comedy, he's
Raph
always
was like, I
laughing.
think if you liked kind of like the fucking Hulk.
Yeah.
He's like the fucking rage.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of a dick. for
Right, he's
sure.
kind of a dick, but he
Yeah.
was like the rage one. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I just liked Leo because he was like balanced and like poised, and
Yeah.
like those are the things like I kind of looked up to.
Yeah, so there's like variety, flavors, different flavors, and like that thing is we've got a caramel, we've got one with peanut
So
butter.
you have caramel and peanut butter too.
Yeah, we have one with pretzels. We're doing a coffee, like a signature for we're a Seattle brand, so we're gonna do a really cool like green, basically kind of like a Starbucks /
Yeah.
Sonics.
Yeah.
Ode to Sonics, Supersonics. So have that there, and like
It's like a homage to the area that we're in.
right, dude. And so
Yeah.
we're gonna do like a coffee type
Yeah,
type flavor.
totally.
Oh, man.
Don't mind that construction shit going on outside.
It's
No.
hilarious.
They're just moving some things. So
I was like, I wonder if I'm like, how about this? A couple of it, like they won't be able to hear that, but that they'll definitely. that'll
yeah,
pick
it's
up.
it's chill though. So no, I think it's great, man. So like, now when you started this, like, how many years ago was it?
So like I said, it was during the pandemic. So we kind of did some R&D, and then like, how about this? It's been for the past years when we've like had products in hand to give to our friends.
And so, what are some of your like favorite stories that you've helped people with that have used your product?
Yeah.
And, like,
So how about this? Like best buddies that are like have been smoking cigarettes their whole life, just like helping, like all of a sudden being like, hey man, I don't have that craving anymore. Definitely the author, that story, just like, dude, that gives me goosebumps every time.
like he was able to start writing again.
and like literally like his brain is healing.
Yeah.
Like he has to get studies, get stuff done, and the brain work is coming back that he's actually healing.
That's
So
insane.
dude, that's incredible for me. And then like I literally like daily with people, like helps me with my day-to-day anxiety and stuff. And and honestly, me personally, my dealing with like depression and anxiety, dude, it was huge.
Yeah. So even just people like using it on a regular, like daily basis, just for basic anxiety.
Yeah, microdosing. Yeah. So we do also have microdosing caps. So they're basically like a small pill that's one of those things you take, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. 2 days on, 1 day off is kind of the
And
study.
so what is
Yeah.
the where did you get that from? Is that something that's normal with it?
That's a yes.
Microdosing, and what is the benefit of the day off in between?
So they call that the afterglow, and like what I like anything. There's so much stuff on the internet. I recommend people go and like do their own research. But
Right.
yeah, so the afterglow piece is to allow the brain to basically to heal and let it do its connecting and basically start over and refresh. So when you go back in and do it
Okay,
again.
so it's like you do it and then you let it heal from it. You do it and then you let it kind of connect. And okay, that makes sense. The other question I have about psilocybin, if you know or not, is like, so there's the importance of sleep, obviously.
Huge.
Like
Yeah,
sleep is so
yeah.
important and everything. So I know that like when you like people are always like, oh, I drank so much I passed out. It's like, but you didn't actually sleep.
Yeah.
So when you drink alcohol, you don't actually get into REM sleep, right?
Right.
Like your body's out, but it's not like sleeping. It's not getting the
Yeah.
benefits of sleep. And I know like with weed too, and I love weed, but this is a negative part of weed. If you smoke weed every night to go to bed, you're not getting into REM sleep.
No,
It's
no.
preventing. So that's even to the point where like when people will quit smoking weed, they have these crazy hallucinogenic dreams because their body is trying to catch up on all the REM sleep because they've been smoking
Right,
weed every night,
right.
not getting real sleep. So they
Yeah.
think, oh, I'm smoking a sativa or whatever
Yeah.
to like help me sleep. It's like, but you're not actually sleeping.
Right. Right.
So that's why you're getting, and REM sleep's a thing where I guess like it doesn't just like go back to normal. Like, so like the night after you like stop smoking weed, you just like dream normally. It wants to like make up for all the lost REM sleep it didn't get. So it goes like crazy, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question is like now, like does psilocybin have any effects like that?
So psilocybin does have stimulant. It has stimulant tendencies with it. So it is actually going to be an upper.
So it's not a thing that puts you to sleep.
No. So you want, but that's kind of the whole point of when you do.
But it won't affect your sleep negatively.
No,
either.
absolutely. Actually, like what we're talking about here is like exactly what you're saying. Is that's why you do it in the morning, in the in the afternoon, and then
Yeah.
and then come night. But then at night you're going to be in a deeper sleeper state.
Right.
You're actually going to go into that deeper sleep and actually be able
Because it's
to
already
do that
been
REM.
through your system and everything.
Yeah, it's out of your system, but at that point you've already kind of like. The thing is cool is because you kind of like jolted your brain. You've kickstarted your brain. So at that point, now it's like, now I'm going to be able to go just nice deep.
Right, and you
relaxed
maybe
sleep.
even got rid of some of that anxiety that keeps people up.
100%.
Because that's one of those things that keeps people up. at night.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's another benefit.
Yeah.
So overall, let's just list like all the positive benefits of psilocybin that you know.
Okay.
That you want people to hear.
Okay. Well, I mean, like we talked about, it's like anxiety, depression, PTSD, overall just well-being, the ability to, like we talked about with counseling and therapy, going in to be able to look in, some of your traumas, things you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Recreational, which is obviously
For
just
fun.
for fun.
Yeah.
That's how you got to
The creative
Let's
aspect.
be honest. Yeah. Absolutely the creative side of things. I mean, you look at a lot of artists, musicians. Well, that's the thing. That's why like CEOs and marketing directors and stuff are taking it because they're like digging into their creative side to open up that side of their brain. So
I love that, man. I love it. So one last thing. Where do you see like your company in the future, and then where do you see like what do you see happening with psilocybin like in the next couple years?
yes, well,
You think it's going to be a big boom?
I think the boom's already starting. It's like just like really, really starting to take off. Just how about this in the fact of that the knowledge is out there. Everything's out there. You can actually go and look up and read now the business side of it. I think is going to be kind of wild west for a while, but I think because it's mirroring the marijuana industry,
Yeah.
it's going to be, I think it's going to follow those same guidelines. So we pretty much, we can say that, all right, how are they going to do it? And originally are they going to do it with, it's like we were talking about writing scripts first and like the medical marijuana, or are they just going to skip and go right into the recreational side? We don't know yet.
Right.
We'll
How
see.
long do you think that's going to take?
Dude, honestly, if I knew, that's like looking in the future, I'd be a millionaire. But I really do think that in the next couple of years, this is going to be, it's moving a lot faster because like we talked about, the building blocks of weed they've already done it.
Yeah.
So now they're almost, they just need to copy it.
That's one thing. So like weed
boom,
kind of paved the way already for
big
it.
time. And they think about how long it took them. It took them.
Oh, it took them forever,
you know,
dude.
whatever, decades. But now
That's crazy, actually. If you think about like even when you think we're talking about when we were kids, like we already knew weed was like not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But like, look how long it took for it to even get where it is now,
dude. Huge.
And now you live in a state like this, and it's like it's legal as fuck.
Yeah,
dude.
they're just you know work. All the lobbyists, everybody going in and fighting, and now it's kind of like, oh hey, well let's look at the research.
Yeah.
What about this? If you're gonna do weed, well, what about that? And it's like kind of like.
So you feel like weed has kind of carved a little bit of a path
Absolutely.
for psilocybin.
100%. There's no question.
So it might kind of fast track it a little bit.
Yeah, in the benefits of it. And I honestly think too is like I just think the benefits for mental health. Like obviously, I do think that weed has a lot of benefits.
Same.
I see a lot of recreational side of that, but I do think that this is going to be more on the for mental health is just incredible.
I think it's going to be even more so than weed used medicinally. In ways we probably haven't even figured out yet.
I 100% agree. Same.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, between obviously you have LSD and you know psilocybin and MDMA and you know ketamine. You have all of them that they're
all playing with those more than ever right now.
It's huge. Yeah. So
I look forward to getting more and more guests that have like there's definitely a lot of people that are into this stuff right now. And I want to learn more and more about it. So
me too. I'll tune in, man.
Dude, I'm stoked that you came on and talked about
thanks,
this
bud.
stuff.
And honestly, I'm same thing too. Is like I'm still doing my research. There's still so much out there, and we're learning stuff every single day. So pretty cool.
That is cool, man. So, well, I wish you luck with everything.
Thanks, bud.
And it was really informative to hear about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the only other question I have is like if people wanted to do some research and like what kind of like resources would you point people towards if they wanted to like look into using psilocybin for themselves? Obviously they can always contact you on your Instagram, which is Sonic_bars. Yep. So that's one way they can reach out to you.
Yeah. And then I think like just how about this? If you just like want to like look, you just start with microdose.
Yep.
I think it's like one of the key words that will help you get there, and you can kind of dig into your rabbit hole and go down a whole line of things. There's so much information out there right now. It's
really,
kind
of like
really cool.
like there's probably tons of research papers on it out there.
I mean, from the 50s, 60s, it's all over. But now that's all coming back out, and they're all just like redoing it all. And then like right now too, I mean, like, dude, there's shows on specials on Netflix if you want to just like take a quick peek.
So even just peek on Netflix for now. Was there a period where like they couldn't even study it?
Well, how about this? You know, how, like, dude, scientists can look at, you know, they've been digging into all this stuff for years and years and years.
Okay, so they never got like
they
shut
didn't like
down.
blackball it. No, they've been looking at that's why.
But now it's more of a boom than ever.
Yeah. Well, how about this? They've been doing the research this whole time.
Okay.
That's why we're at where we're at right now. We're like, dude, look at the proof. I mean,
it's already there.
It's here. Like all the answers. Like we've done the work.
Yes.
Now all we do is just
follow through.
Let it go. Like let people take it, you know? So
yeah, man, that's exciting. So you're going to be one of the companies in the forefront of that, hopefully.
I'm trying.
And yeah, man, what other goals do you have for the year? Anything else going on?
Well, like health and fitness is big for me right now.
Keep up with that.
Yeah, you know, just like same thing, you know, mental health is just physical is just as much as important, I think, is you know, our
and
mental
they go
is
hand in
physical,
hand, I would say too.
Well, I mean, how about this? You're not going to reach your physical goals without making sure your mental stuff's in check. So
yeah, man, and that's so important. So I feel like that's a good place to end it. That was an awesome podcast. I learned a lot, and I'm really excited for your products, man.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. We'll have you on again sometime, dude.
All right, bud.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening out there. Really appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Matt.